A skinful. You moan, but it's not the wailing of a girl child anymore. Enraptured eyes clouded over with rainbows roll into the back of your head. I shush you, the soft susurration of a mother's monosyllabic prayer, and dab a poultice on your brow, packed with fenugreek seeds, mint and dandelion gathered from our garden, but it does little to bring the fever down. You're swollen, the pale skin of your abdomen stretched too taut for a girl your size, and around us, beneath the eaves of our shuttered-up attic, I've scattered the stubs of dripping candles on a circle of kitchen salt. After a windless August day, the house is already stifling hot. Wax stains ancient beetle-board floorboards, and the candle flames push the temperature up even further. I ignore the heat, because the light from those flames forces the gloom back into the corners and keeps the fidgeting shadows at bay. The last time I touched you, you fought me, but now you're too weak to move. I lift up the bottom of your black, sweat-drenched t-shirt to examine a lattice of capillaries that have burst underneath your belly. Blue-black threads have spread from your neck down to your pelvis like the intricate veins of a leaf. You're struggling to breathe, and a puddle, saliva-slick catkins and half-digested leaves spill onto a daisy yellow pillowcase I only changed half an hour ago. You're gagging, choking, so I dig out the rest of that mulch with my fingers, trying not to look at what else rushed up from your stomach, at the other things that shouldn't be wriggling obscenely in my palm. Gleeful squeaks and eager scratchings come from places in the room where the candlelight cannot reach. I take a long, unquenching swallow from a half-empty bottle of brandy, and I pretend to ignore them too. When you were born, it was in a square, sterile room in the city, a labyrinth of corridors and bleeping apparatus. The man I called your father, more concerned about an unlocked needle cabinet in the next cubicle than welcoming his daughter into the world, disappeared before we even made it into the delivery suite. I was tweaking, hard, my chemicals of choice burnt away from my bloodstream long before we'd even arrived at the A&E doors, and my muscles were useless. Too many years of neglect and undernourishment, and they told me it was a wonder you'd made it full term. But in those last minutes you got stuck, a baby like a boulder, wedged between my hip bones as if you planned to end us both. And I was frightened then. For the first time in years I felt something other than the incessant nag of my addictions, and I screamed until my throat was raw and I couldn't scream anymore. Eventually, they dragged you out of me into that too-bright cubicle, and the tool they used left forceps-shaped scars either side of your temples. Even now, I can still find those pale pink half-moons under your hairline, like some secret inverted crown. Your fists were clenched. You howled with adult-sized rage, a scrawny thing racked with seizures and consumed already by an appetite my milk would never sate. I owed you your anger, then, and every day since. No child should bear the weight of a mother's sins. Now, here, my stomach churns, the brandy in it turned to bitter acid. How long have we been in this attic? Hours? Days? Some lifetime ago I brought a jug of fresh water up the creaking uncarpeted steps, careful not to spill a single precious drop. But that's long since gone, and now my head pounds, dehydration and soured adrenaline turning into a migraine I can't shake. Your lips are chapped, wisps of dyed blonde falling down onto a worn-out rug like gossamer webs, and I catch each one, plait them together, trying to find a way to occupy my useless shaking hands. It was only 2 months ago when I found you curled up beneath the Ladstones. That longest day dissolved into a jewel-bright night, and you had stayed out much later than you'd promised. "Friend's house," you'd said. "They're throwing me a party." But none of that was true, was it? And by 2 a.m. I was banging on other parents' doors. At Sarah's house, her bleary-eyed dad had opened, rubbing his stubble irritably. "No, Jeanie, there was never a party here. You think we're mad? And anyway, Ruby and Sarah aren't friends anymore, so we haven't seen her for months." Then Christine came down, scowling over his shoulder, giving me the same face she's given me ever since we were back at school together. She didn't speak, just pulled him away and slammed the door in my face, but I knew what she was thinking. Like mother, like daughter. And maybe she was right, because after their doorstep I did know exactly where to find you, didn't I? We're more alike than you'll ever know. It took me an hour to get to the top of the valley then, squirreling up winding footpaths and rushing through rustling nighttime woods. The Ladstones are miles from the nearest road or well-lit farmhouse, a neat, craggy lip overlooking the western flank of the vale, high above our sleepy town, tucked too close to the volatile River Calder. It had been a still night, and at least a good 2 hours from dawn yet. I hadn't thought to bring a torch, but I didn't need one. My feet knew the way. I didn't even need the light of that fat solstice moon. Getting closer, I crossed a coppice of untended alders and could have sworn I heard swooning music. Not the thump, thump, thump of an electronic bass line or the synthetic clicks of static-cracked speakers. No, it was irregular, rampant. It made my blood twitch and my skin itch with an ache I thought I'd forgotten. When I reached you, everything was quiet. You were passed out by a dying fire, alone, tucked away beneath the overhangs of those looming purple-black rocks. Only stars winked overhead, and on the ground, in blades of freshly trampled grass around you, shards of broken bottles glinted darkly like plucked-out eyes. I shook you, vicious and angry at first, until I realised your eyes were saucer-wide and reflected nothing but that smug moon's silver hue. Your clothes were torn, skin bramble-scratched, and your hair was snagged with bracken. Your best new dress was muddied and ruched up high around your waist. The scent of wild garlic, hot greenhouse foliage, and something else poured off you, and that smell followed us home. Now our house reeks of it, the dank summer tang of creation and decay. In this moment, the sweat pouring off your forehead has changed. Like tree sap or crusted honey, it drips onto the bedsheets, then crumbles into nothing when I wipe it away. You've been calling out, begging in a voice I do not recognise, asking for something from the garden, something you say they've left you that will make all our pain go away. But I know their tricks, and I will not leave you. I did the same when my hunger pushed me close to the edge. Baby, I don't blame you for anything, for any of this. You have to understand that. I was quick too to make promises I couldn't keep. And I'm not being cruel, please understand that, but you have to ride this out, and you mustn't trust them. Not a word. Their remedies are poison, quick fixes that will only bind you tighter and make it impossible to think for yourself. Yes, I know, you may be full of spinning starlight and dazzling moonshine, but in this world you will be nothing but a hollowed out shell. And it isn't easy. God knows, I know that. But you can do this. You're so much stronger than I ever was. Your waters break, and as they do, I hear the thump of something behind me, see a ball of rolling orange out of the corner of my eye. It bumps against my heel, an innocuous peach, ripe and plump, begging to be bitten. Did they bring you fruit on the solstice too? Did the juice drip down your chin? I kick the peach away just as music starts to rise from somewhere below us. That same uncanny cadence I've heard drifting through the woods. Percussive, insistent, it matches your pulse and amplifies the hammering in my head. It's tremulous and persuasive. Around us, the walls quiver as if their drum skins stretch taut between two worlds. On the sheet between your legs, a stain is spreading, too thick and too green for me to pretend I know how this will go. It smells like fish tank mildew, and the secrets of dead things left to rot in smothering summer heat. I stroke your cheek, sing you half-remembered lullabies for all the good it will do, but they stick in my throat as I forget words and stumble over stanzas, as more fruit, ripe and tainted, bounces over the boundary of our circle. The creatures are bolder now, because they know I'm close to breaking point and that I'll do anything to end this nightmare for us both. Your eyes dart like dragonflies, skittering light above nocturnal lakes, and your lips have darkened to a deep necrotic green. And I'm so very hungry, at least as hungry as you, because the cravings we've let them seed inside us never really go away. The hole inside you is getting wider. There's nothing I can do to stop it yawning open a millimetre at a time. Music flows now from inside you as well as around us, airy plucked and accompanied by a caterwaul of inhuman mouths. I know that melody. I sang it with them on the hillsides so many nights ago when I was younger than you are now. Christine's voice in my head now, schoolyard whispers, weapons forged by breath, then spread like pollen on westerly winds. Jeannie meets with men up at the Ladstones. They give her things and she lets them do whatever they want. The candles are low now and I have nothing to replace them. I know that if I opened those shutters, that moon would shine as brightly as any midday sun, but then what would I see, dancing brazenly in her radiance? Half men, half beasts, boisterously shoving, hook-footed and mud-crusted, slobbering and jostling. They've come for the sport and to test my weak mother's magic. They've come to remind me of promises made and debts left unpaid. Your pulse is weak, and tremors shudder through your body. They howl and stomp their bare feet to that wretched rhythm. Inside you, something squirms, thrashing violently. It pushes against the skin of your belly, primed for rupture and release. Trapped, unnatural. That thing inside you grew too quickly, and it will surely tear you apart. It's made of delirium, I know it, and heartbreak. It will never be your own. It resents being born, just like you did, I know it. It cannot stay inside. It's a child made of plum stones and river rocks and ancient magic that only wants to weigh you down. The door rattles, window glass shatters. Those creatures shriek and leap into the air. I don't turn because I know the candles are wasted pools of wax now and I have no protection against their advance. There's no light anymore that I can trust here, and a pale glow begins to bloom from your skin. It lifts, rising like a length of billowed silk. It's your sweet soul, already trying to break free of your body. I pick up the knife, hidden underneath the mattress. It flashes valiantly in a slivered shaft of light. I turn it slowly, left to right, like a careful surgeon. I want them to see the precise beauty of its simplicity, know of my intentions, because they cannot have you. I end this here. Now, let them witness the true depths of a mother's love.